AgweekTV weather is brought to you by Kaler Farms.
Weather portion of Ag Week. Before we show any pictures of all, I want to reiterate that I was the one who kept saying it looked like this was going to be a warm and dry summer across the northern plains, which it was not. I bring that point up now because the harvest season continues to bring areas of soaking rains. Although there is a little bit of reason for optimism right now, I do expect to see some drier weather and some warmer weather setting up. Overall, we're cool for the time being, but I do expect some warmer temperatures to build in this week, and it may last for a while. But it just illustrates that long-range forecasting is a little bit like throwing the dice sometimes. It's just a little bit of guesswork. The rainy weather this past week has been excessive over Minnesota, the Red River Valley. It was excessive down south here around southeastern South Dakota and down the Missouri River as well, but these areas were not quite so overwhelmingly wet as it had been up in the north. Pretty wet weather out in parts of western North Dakota as well over the last week or so, but I do see some signs that will change. First of all, some things weather-wise, meteorological to point out. This ridge of high pressure down here off the coast of Florida is the reason for Hurricane Matthew. Basically, a big ridge of high pressure allows hurricanes to grow. They like high pressure. Kind of storms we get in the northern plains do not. The other interesting feature, which will change everything, is a fast jet streak core, which is expected to start approaching the west coast by midweek. This will cause a low pressure system to develop, which will bring, first of all, the first significant rains of the fall season to the Pacific Northwest. Look at that jet stream. It's also going to pump up some mild weather into the western states and eventually into the central states. In fact, it may get quite warm down south. So as we check the forecast now, it looks like the next 2 weeks, generally speaking, will be much above average, not only in the northern plains, but really much of the United States, I think, will have above average temperatures, even out in the Pacific Northwest where it's going to be raining. And there will be some substantial rains this week, but the waters off the west coast are very, very warm, so there might even be some thunder in some of this, but plenty of rain for the west coast, a dry slot up through the middle states, and of course, that will include the northern plains, at least a lot of it. Fairly dry weather this coming week, maybe a shower or two, but fairly dry weather. Parts of the northeast will be dry. The southeast really depends on the track of Hurricane Matthew as it spins around out to sea. The second week, a lot of dry weather. The rain in the Pacific Northwest may try to spill over into southern Canada, and of course that may affect parts of the northern plains, but I suspect it'll end up being more dry than warm, or than wet, that is, over the next couple of weeks. So what are we talking about looking forward? It has been an atypically wet fall. There are signs of a drier pattern and warm weather nationwide for probably the next couple of weeks.